Raw, unadulterated speed. Very few games come to mind when I think of these descriptors, but one that's always at the forefront would have to be Need for Speed Hot Pursuit was a game released in November of 2010 and was a massive departure following releases such as Need for Speed Most Wanted, Carbon, Undercover, and Pro Street. It almost felt like the series was heading in a new direction with the launch of Hot Pursuit, and to me, it was the turning point for the series. Having grown up on games such as Underground 2 and Most Wanted, the radical change that the 2010 release of Hot Pursuit gave was something I didn't expect. But I recently re-downloaded it and played through it in almost a single sitting. So I decided to go ahead and give my thoughts about the game as a whole and share it all with you. So without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and hop into Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010. While the racing game genre isn't known for being the most story-heavy gaming genre known to man, Need for Speed games tried to include some form of story within it ever since the release of the original Underground. Hot Pursuit takes that idea though and tosses it straight out the window. The game returns to its roots, not even having the smallest pretense of a story through your entire playthrough. It's simply a playground of various fast cars for you to race around in. The career paths, I say with air quotes, are just a set of missions for two diametrically opposed sides. That's right, there are two sides to play as in this game. The street racers tearing up Seacrest County, and the police doing everything to stop them. You progress through both of these paths by taking part in, completing, and mastering the various events. Each event and action you take in them will award you with points that contribute to your bounty, the experience that helps you level up each path. You'll start as a level 1 as both cop and racer, but with more success, will climb the ranks of each side, slowly unlocking more cars, events, and tools. Each side has events split up based on vehicle performance, with the car list being split up into 5 categories for each. As a racer, you'll start with the Sports Series, and as you level up, will unlock Performance Series, Super Series, Exotic Series, and finally the Hyper Series. Progression for the police follows the same type of path, starting at the bottom with Traffic Police, and through slowly earning bounty will unlock more units, eventually giving you access to Highway Patrol, Rapid Deployment, Speed Enforcement, and eventually Special Response. The car list in Hot Pursuit isn't bad, however I did find myself disappointed because a lot of the car list is different versions of the same vehicles, swapping between standard hardtops or cabriolets, or simply being the same version of the car, only kitted up to be a police vehicle rather than a standard road car. When it comes to unlocking all that the game has to offer though, you'll be required to complete various event types. For the racer path, you'll have standard races that are all point-to-point sprint races. That's right, circuits, lap knockout, drag, drift, all the past staples of Need for Speed games are gone. In standard races, you won't have to worry about police presence, and you can simply focus on one thing: beating the other racers to the finish line. Besides races, you'll have 2 event types that are essentially the same thing as each other. One being time trials, an event where it's only you against the clock, and preview events. Preview events are unique in that they only show up in the first half of the path that you are on, as they give you a time trial to run with a vehicle from a series that you haven't yet unlocked. You can be in the Sports Series tearing a hypercar through the county. Finally, you have Gauntlet events, a time trial where a few cops will attempt to intervene and stop you from finishing the run. The goal is simply to make it to the finish line in the allotted amount of time. Based on your finishing position or time for these events, you'll earn either a bronze, silver, or gold medal, ultimately deciding how much bounty you earn from the event. For the police, you'll have events such as rapid response, the police variant of a time trial, as well as preview events that work the same as for racers. A time trial in a loaner car from a higher unit than you can currently access. The preview races are a good way to get a feel for how fast the game will get at times without being thrown in the deep end, as well as keep you entertained without sacrificing the feeling of progressing the game naturally. As a cop, you'll also have interceptor events, the closest thing to the gauntlet events that racers have. In this mode, it will be one-on-one for you and a single racer, and the goal is simple: stop them at any cost necessary. You'll be given a time limit for how long you have to bust the racer, either through stopping them or destroying their car. Much like for racers, your performance in these events will earn you one of 3 awards for completion: Pass, Merit, or Distinction. For those who know the game, you'll probably notice that one type of event was left out, and that's because it applies to both racers and police: the Hot Pursuit. Your role in Hot Pursuit will change depending on the role you're playing. For police, your job is to bust the racers before the finish line and shut down the race. And for the racer, your goal is to survive the assault and cross the finish line without being busted or destroyed. Because apparently in Seacrest County, it's illegal for the police to pursue the racer after they've finished the event. No pursuit after, no getting to safety, just cross the finish line and you're done. But we'll come back to that in a bit. For the police, Hot Pursuit events become a game of tactics. Do you focus the drivers down one at a time? Do you go for the closest one to you constantly? If a racer crashes, do you slow and wait for them, or continue to chase the pack? These are all decisions that you'll have to make throughout the event, and the decisions, they can be influenced by a few factors, including race distance remaining, car health, and number of racers remaining to bust. There is no single right answer on how to handle the events, so you have to play around with your own style of playing and see which works best for you. Things change radically on the other side, though. If the Hot Pursuit events are a game of tactical warfare for cops, it's a dogfight for racers. Unlike for the police events, where it's one versus many, for racers, it is you versus a handful of other drivers versus every officer seemingly on duty that day. And believe me when I say that the cops are not afraid to get in your face and personal. They will bash you off the road, drive you into vehicles, and shove you into barriers every chance they get. And you have to survive before the health of your vehicle reaches 0 and your car is destroyed. Yep, that's right. Vehicle health is something that you need to worry about, just like in the more recent Need for Speed games. However, unlike in those games, you have no way to recover the health of your vehicle mid-race, and every collision with a wall, traffic, cop, or racer risks adding a little more damage to your car as well. That's why in Hot Pursuit, Gauntlet, and Interceptor events, you need to know how to best use your weapons for each role. Oh yeah, you get weapons in this game. In a way, Hot Pursuit makes me think of if the Burnout series met Twisted Metal. While I called them weapons, not all are offensive options, and calling them tools would be a more apt description of what they are. Overall, there are 4 tools available for both racers and police, 2 of them being shared by both sides, while both sides have 2 unique tools available. To start with the shared tools, both sides have access to an EMP, or electromagnetic pulse, that will lock onto a target and, if kept within range and view, deal decent damage to the health of the target vehicle while also removing control of vehicle movement for a moment. EMPs tend to be best used before a tight turn, causing the target to slam into the wall hard, or in tandem with another tool to remove the ability for the target to attempt to dodge. You just have to remember that there is a charge time, so be sure to time when you use the EMP carefully to get maximum effectiveness out of it. Both sides also have access to a spike strip. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, spike strips are back, and this time, they're mobile. Unlike from past games where they were paired with a roadblock, spike strips are released from the rear of your car, meaning you have to be ahead of the intended target to hit them. Along with that, they have a slight deployment time, which means if the target is close enough, the spike strip will pass under them harmlessly. Unlike with past games, though, spike strips aren't an instant loss mechanic to get hit by, instead only causing you to take minor damage and spin out, slowing you down considerably. This can mean that it can be advantageous to let yourself get hit by a spike strip at times, as it is a quick and easy way to get behind a car targeting you with an EMP, which would cause far more damage overall. Now for the police-specific tools. Officers have access to both roadblocks and helicopters. The roadblocks simply blocking off the road and bringing racers who contact it to a crashing halt and giving you a chance to catch up and even land a big hit on the temporarily immobilized vehicles. A helicopter will sit above the road, monitoring any racers and attempting to get ahead of them to drop a spike strip onto the road in order to stop them. For racers, their unique tools are far more defensive, consisting of a jammer that will prevent anyone else from using tools for a certain amount of time, and deactivating tools that are currently being used, to an extent. A helicopter will continue to follow you, but it will be unable to drop any more spike strips. Finally, racers also have a tool called Turbo that does exactly what the name suggests. It gives you a massive boost in speed. However, this gets riskier to use as the cars get faster. You have no way to control when the turbo ends, as it's a timed tool. So if you reach a sharp turn and it's still active, good luck, because trying to turn with the turbo going is like asking me to review a business. Odds are, it isn't happening. An important thing to remember is that just because someone is on the same side as you does not mean you are safe from their tools. If you're playing as a racer and another racer drops a spike strip, you can still get hit by that spike strip. It will spin and do damage to you. If you're playing as a cop and you use a helicopter, that helicopter will drop a spike strip, and that spike strip is able to hit you as well. So you need to be mindful of what is going on around you, even if it's not the opposite side using a tool. One last tool that both sides have access to is Nitrous. Although it's a little different for racers and police, and ends up being an important distinction that trains the way you drive for each side. Racers can only get Nitrous back through dangerous driving, such as driving in oncoming traffic lanes, near missing traffic in the same and opposite directions, and drifting. Police, on the other hand, have passive Nitrous regen when moving at speed, and can regen extra through near misses, with traffic heading the same direction as yourself, or drifting around corners. Since the police don't earn Nitrous for dangerous driving and vehicle health is limited, you'll quickly start learning to respect traffic lanes more as police and disrespect them more as a racer. Overall, the difficulty of events in Hot Pursuit is not high. Most events are extremely brief, only taking 2 to 3 minutes to complete per event if you gold it on the first try, and I found very few events giving me any form of trouble through both sides. However, when an event did give me trouble, oh boy, was it annoying. From racers doing constant U-turns to avoid my roadblocks and EMPs during an interceptor mission, to getting targeted by 2 to 3 EMPs while trying to dodge a roadblock or a spike strip as a racer, things can get annoying or intense quite quickly. Overall though, no event took more than 1 to 2 attempts to complete normally, and I only saw one occasion where my vehicle's health hit 0 and I was wrecked out of an event. Overall, damage is very forgiving for the player, especially for the first 2/3 of the game. Once the NPCs begin getting access to all the tools though, things will eventually pick up a little bit. The NPCs, however, will fold in 2 to 3 hits depending on how hard you hit them normally. One well-placed roadblock followed by a torpedoing patrol car can easily give you a bust on a racer that was full health a moment ago when playing as an officer. Overall, I think that part of what makes the events easier as a racer, and actually one part that I love about the game, is that the police don't treat NPC racers like they don't exist. Officers will target the other racers with spikes and EMPs and try to run them off the road the same as you. There are a few events for officers where it can be difficult to damage a racer, but that's mostly because it's difficult to get a big enough differential in vehicle speed before hitting the target to do a lot of damage in one hit. So in those events, you tend to have to whittle down the driver's health slowly. One thing that makes Hot Pursuit feel so devoid from the other games that came before it is the distinct lack of customization. You can choose the color of the vehicle you drive from a preset list of options if you're a racer, but performance or visual modifications simply don't exist within Hot Pursuit. However, I do appreciate the variety in liveries available on the different police cruisers in the game. They aren't the same copy and pasted livery on each car, even though that would be the easy solution. There are multiple cars that have unique liveries or color schemes, such as the white and green sheriff's liveries for cars such as some Mustangs, Corvettes, and Viper, and the blue sheriff's livery for some Mustangs and Vettes, and even an Italian livery for one of the Lamborghini Gallardos. Let's be honest though, the Ford GT livery, that has to be the most America thing I have seen in a game since Duke Nukem.
It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
There's a wide spectrum of colors shown through the police liveries though, and it can be easy to distinguish what cars are actually engaging you in a pursuit. For the soundtrack, I wasn't expecting much honestly, as there's only one song I could ever distinctly remember from the game, its opening theme, Edge of the Earth by 30 Seconds to Mars. However, when I was playing, I was pleasantly surprised to see tracks from artists such as Bad Religion, Chitty Bang, New Politics, MIA, and others. While it's far from the strongest soundtrack from a Need for Speed game, I certainly enjoyed the variety that it gave, with hard rock, hip-hop, and electronic all having some form of inclusion within the soundtrack. The map had me conflicted. It looked beautiful as the game, even almost 15 years later, still looks stunning at 1440p, and there are plenty of different locations to see. From dense forests to lush valleys, twisty paths along the hills, and scenic riverside drives. Arid deserts, snowy mountain passes, and everything in between is available. So visually, the map is stunning. However, to drive, it can begin to feel rather samey all around, with different areas almost feeling like simple reskins of each other within the cars. Despite this though, it didn't take away from the enjoyment that I felt driving through each of the areas, as it felt like the handling of the vehicles, along with the physics of the game, complemented the map nicely. And with my intro to the video, you may think that the long highway runs, blasting down at full speed, would be my favorite part of driving in Hot Pursuit, but that's actually wrong. When it comes to handling, the cars in Hot Pursuit feel heavy, extremely heavy. Because of this, they're extremely lazy to turn most of the time, almost seeming to have a delay between input and action. Being able to turn on the dime or do micro adjustments with vehicles is out of the question, and confidence in your inputs and controls is a strict requirement to drive quickly. Because of this, high-speed highway runs become dangerous as you don't have the reactivity to safely correct a split between traffic, forcing you to wildly cut across multiple lanes at times to dodge to one where no traffic is present. In turn, this makes the windier roads of the forests and mountains far more enjoyable due to the drift physics in Hot Pursuit. Unlike with Pro Street, where drifting felt like it was on rails and changing your trajectory was taken by the game as nothing more than a suggestion, Hot Pursuit gives you full control of the path of your drift without requiring you to handle the drift itself. As long as you get the car sliding, the game will take care of the rest and let you focus on guiding the car where you want it to go. Hot Pursuit has to have some of my favorite drift physics of any arcade racer to date, and nothing has ever really been able to compare. So we've looked at the map, the soundtrack, the cars, progression. We've gone over each of the event types and looked at the different paths that you can take. But if there are two paths of progression, they have to have some sort of ending, right? Well, they do, with the police having one final hot pursuit to bust the few remaining racers in Seacrest County, and a race for the racers to see who's the best driver. Now would be the time for me to point out these two events are fully separate, neither plays into or affects the other, and the same goes for really both of the campaigns as a whole, whether you play as a racer or as a cop. For the police, though, the Hot Pursuit tasks you with stopping a hypercar race consisting of Koenigseggs, McLarens, and Bugattis. Meanwhile, the racers will be throwing everything they can at you to try and stop you. They'll deploy spike strips, target EMPs, and throw out jammers to prevent you from being able to bust them or even reach the end of the event. Overall, it's no different from any other Hot Pursuit in the game, so I'm not going to dive into too much more detail. The final event for racers, though? Oh boy. The final event for racers has to be my favorite event without a pursuit element in it, if not my favorite race overall within the game. Titled Seacrest Tour, it is the largest race in the game by a wide margin, 43.5 miles total, and will take you around 12 to 13 minutes to finish in the fastest cars in the game. It will have you face off against a handful of opponents, while taking one last view of the scenery of the county, drifting through the forest roads, blasting flat out down the open highways, traversing the scorching desert region, and ending with a nighttime drive along the coast to the finish line. While it isn't a hard event, it's definitely one of the best in the game, feeling like a proper ending to a game not meant to tell a story, but simply claim your time in exchange for a little bit of entertainment. So, what are my thoughts? While definitely not the best game in the series, I believe that it's worth a try. I can understand why some people may not enjoy it, but overall, there's nothing I found to be too harmful to the experience of the game, and I had a blast revisiting it after so long. If you have a different opinion, feel free to leave it down below in the comments. If you agree, why not give the video a like or even subscribe? Either way though, I'll see everyone in the next one.